Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling how AI is changing the world of cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah. It's a big one.
Yeah, it really is. And to help us break it all down, we are diving deep into a 2024 report from the Institute for Security and Technology.
Right.
It's called The Implications of Artificial Intelligence in Cybersecurity. Shifting the offense-defense balance.
Catchy title.
It is, isn't it? And this report goes beyond just, the technology.
Right.
It really digs into how AI is impacting the balance of power between attackers and defenders and what that means for all of us, what does this mean for our everyday lives?
And it really is fascinating to see how both sides are using this technology.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it. The report kind of presents AI as this double-edged sword, right? It can be a force multiplier for defenders, but also for the attackers.
Yeah, for sure.
And a really great example of this is Google's OSS Fuzz project.
Yeah, what's that one?
So OSS Fuzz uses AI to automatically find and fix security holes in open source software.
Gotcha.
Which is huge because so much of the software that we use every day relies on open source components.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. It's like having this army of tireless digital detectives.
Right.
Scouring through code for weaknesses 24/7.
Right.
They never get tired. They never take breaks.
It's pretty incredible. But then there's the flip side. The report also talks about how AI can be used to create something called polymorphic malware.
Oh, okay. Now that sounds scary.
It is a little bit.
Oh.
So what is polymorphic malware?
Well, essentially, it's malware that can constantly change its appearance.
So it's like a chameleon.
Exactly. Constantly shifting its colors to blend in.
To blend in with its surroundings.
Right. So traditional antivirus software.
Yeah.
Which relies on recognizing known patterns.
Yeah.
It really struggles to detect it because it's a constantly moving target.
So it's like trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly.
But it's interesting because we talked about how AI can help us write more secure software.
Yeah, with OSS Fuzz and things like that.
Right. But couldn't it also be used to introduce vulnerabilities?
That's a great question, and it's something that researchers are actually looking into.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some concern that developers might become over-reliant on AI assistance.
Oh, I see.
Like trusting the GPS too much and ending up driving into a lake.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes these AI assistants can lead to less secure code.
So it's not a foolproof solution.
Not at all. Human oversight is still absolutely crucial.
Human oversight and critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about AI helping and hindering security, but what about deepfakes?
Oh, yeah, those are scary too.
They really are. And I'm curious how they're being used in cyber attacks.
Well, the report actually highlights this chilling example of a finance worker who was tricked into paying $25 million because of a deepfake video call.
Oh, wow.
The attackers used AI to create incredibly realistic replicas of company executives.
And the employee was completely fooled.
Completely.
Wow. So if AI can be used to create these super realistic fakes, how can anyone be sure who they're really interacting with online?
It's a huge problem, and it really highlights the need for new methods of authentication and verification.
Right, because the old methods just aren't going to cut it anymore.
Yeah, and this erosion of trust has implications that reach far beyond just financial scams.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine the impact on public discourse.
Oh, gosh.
On the legal system.
Yeah.
Even international relations.
Yeah, it's a whole other can of worms, right?
Really is.
But shifting gears a bit, let's talk about how AI is transforming how organizations defend their networks in real time.
Okay.
What's the report saying about the future of security operations?
Well, it calls it security operations on steroids.
Oh, wow.
And for good reason, AI can analyze mountains of data.
Okay.
From logs, alerts, network traffic, all the stuff that would take humans forever to sift through.
Yeah.
And it can identify threats much faster.
So it's like having an AI-powered security guard constantly patrolling your network.
24/7.
Looking for suspicious activity.
That's a great way to think about it.
But there's a catch, right?
Always a catch.
What happens when the AI misses something?
Yeah.
Or when attackers figure out how to trick it?
Well, that's the risk with any technology, right?
Yeah.
You become reliant on it, and then when it fails, it can be catastrophic.
So the human element is still essential.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly trust the machines.
We need that human oversight to catch the things that the AI might miss.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about the attackers now.
Okay.
How are they using AI to gain an edge in this digital arms race?
Well, it's still early days.
Okay.
But there's no doubt that attackers are watching these developments very closely.
Right.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before we start seeing more sophisticated AI-powered attacks.
So they're kind of waiting in the wings.
Yeah, they're figuring out how to use these tools to their advantage.
It's a constant game of cat and mouse.
Exactly. Both sides are trying to outmaneuver each other.
With increasingly sophisticated tools.
That's right. And as AI gets smarter, the stakes just get higher.
And speaking of getting smarter, the report also talks about this idea of AI-powered reconnaissance.
Oh, yeah.
Where attackers can gather information about their targets much faster.
Yeah, the past reconnaissance was a slow manual process.
Yeah.
But now attackers can use AI to scrape data from the internet.
Okay.
Analyze social media profiles.
Gotcha.
Even identify potential vulnerabilities in systems.
It's like having a digital spy with superhuman abilities.
Exactly. They can gather vast amounts of information very quickly.
That's pretty unsettling. So are we essentially handing attackers a blueprint of our digital lives?
It's a concern, and it's something we need to be very mindful of.
So is there any way to protect ourselves from this kind of surveillance?
Well, it's a tough challenge, but there are strategies that organizations can use to make themselves less vulnerable. One approach is to minimize your attack surface.
Minimize your attack surface.
The fewer entry points you have, the harder it is for attackers to get in.
So that's where things like strong passwords and regular software updates come in.
That's part of it, but it goes beyond that.
Okay.
It's about reducing your digital footprint overall, making it harder for attackers to gather information about your organization and its employees.
So becoming a harder target.
Exactly.
But
we'll dive into that more in our next deep dive.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
The double-edged sword of AI, deepfakes, AI-assisted coding, the impact on security operations, and this new age of reconnaissance.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But what are some of the solutions to these challenges?
Well, that's a conversation for our next deep dive.
All right, so stay tuned for that. We'll be back to delve into those potential solutions strategies and what you can do to navigate this rapidly evolving landscape.
It's going to be interesting.
It really is. For now, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI and cybersecurity.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time. Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we were talking about how AI is giving attackers these crazy reconnaissance capabilities.
Oh, yeah. Making it feel like we have nowhere to hide in the digital world.
Right.
So where do we go from here? How can organizations defend themselves against this? It's a huge challenge, no doubt.
Right.
But the report does offer some potential solutions and strategies.
Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Well, one of the most fundamental things is minimizing your attack surface.
Right. Minimizing your attack surface.
Yeah.
We talked about strong passwords and keeping software updated last time.
Yeah.
What else falls under that umbrella?
It's about understanding your entire digital footprint.
Okay.
You need a complete inventory of all your digital assets. Where they are, who has access to them. Think of it like a digital map of your organization's vulnerabilities.
So you're saying we need to know where all our weak points are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you have that map, you can prioritize your defenses.
Okay, I see.
You focus on protecting the most critical assets and reduce the overall number of potential entry points.
So it's about making yourself a less appealing target.
Right. The harder it is to get in, the less likely attackers are to even try.
But even then, won't AI help attackers find those remaining vulnerabilities?
It's possible. But the report highlights another interesting strategy.
Okay, what's that?
Network obfuscation.
Network what?
Obfuscation. It's about camouflaging your digital assets, making it hard for attackers to even understand what you have, where it is, and how it's all connected.
So you're talking about hiding your network?
In a way. Yeah. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do you actually do that?
Well, there are various techniques.
Yeah.
One common approach is dynamic routing.
Dynamic routing.
Where the paths that traffic takes through your network are constantly changing.
So even if an attacker sees some of your traffic, they don't get the full picture.
Exactly. They can't map out your network because it's always shifting.
That's pretty clever. And then there's endpoint concealment.
Right. That's about hiding the identities and locations of your devices.
Making your devices invisible.
Essentially.
Okay, I like it. And are there other strategies like this?
Oh, yeah. There are other tactics, too. Like using honeypots to lure attackers away from critical systems.
Oh, like a distraction.
Exactly. Or deploying deception technology to create fake assets and confuse them.
So it's like playing mind games with the attackers?
You could say that.
But, if defenders are using AI for this, couldn't attackers do the same thing to try and break through?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a constant cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
Both sides are using AI to try and outsmart each other.
It sounds exhausting.
It can be. But that's why a multi-layered approach to security is so important.
Right. So network obfuscation is just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
Okay.
You need strong passwords. You need to keep your software updated.
Yeah.
You need to minimize your attack surface. And you need to obfuscate your network.
It's a lot to keep track of. But what about those deepfakes we talked about earlier?
Ah, yes, the deepfakes.
How do we protect ourselves from impersonation attacks if we can't even trust our own eyes and ears?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Deepfakes are a real threat. And the report emphasizes the need for new approaches to authentication and verification.
Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Well, one potential solution is watermarking.
Watermarking? Like the kind you see on photographs?
Similar, but we're talking about digital watermarks embedded in the content itself.
Okay.
To verify its authenticity.
So it's like a digital signature.
Exactly. Google, for example, has developed a tool called Synthide that can embed invisible watermarks in AI-generated content.
So even if a deepfake video looks and sounds real, this tool could tell us if it's been manipulated.
That's the idea. Of course, sophisticated attackers might find ways to remove or alter these watermarks.
Right. There's always a way around things.
But it's a step in the right direction.
Okay. So watermarking is one approach. What else can we do?
Another promising area is content provenance.
Content provenance.
It's about tracking the origin and history of digital content like a digital chain of custody.
Okay, so you can see where a piece of content came from, who created it, and how it's been modified over time. That sounds like a great way to combat misinformation and deepfakes. But is it even possible to track the origins of everything we see online?
It's a huge challenge, but there are initiatives working on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, for instance, is developing an open standard to verify the authenticity of digital content.
Okay, so content provenance can help us verify the source of information, but what about just knowing who you're talking to online?
Right, because anyone can be impersonated these days.
Yeah, so how do we even know who to trust?
This brings us to the concept of zero trust.
Zero trust. I've heard that term, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
It's a security framework that assumes no user or device can be trusted by default.
So you're always suspicious.
It's more like trust but verify.
Okay, I like that.
It's about eliminating implicit trust and verifying every access request regardless of where it's coming from or who's making it.
But how does that work in practice? Is it even feasible to verify every single interaction?
It can be tricky, but that's where AI comes in. AI can help automate and enhance many of the processes involved in zero trust security.
Give me an example.
Sure. AI can analyze user behavior to identify anomalies that might indicate a compromised account.
Okay.
Or it can help automate the process of verifying identities and granting access to resources.
So it's like having an AI security guard who's always checking everyone's ID and making sure they're not doing anything suspicious.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that even with all these technological advancements, the human element is still crucial.
Right. We can't just rely on AI to solve all our security problems.
We need to train a new generation of cybersecurity professionals who understand AI and how to use it effectively.
And that leads us to our next question. What skills will these professionals need to thrive in this new world?
That's a big one, and it's something we'll dive into in our next segment.
Okay, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
We'll be back to discuss the skills of the future and some of the broader implications of this AI-powered world.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've covered a ton of ground in this series.
We have, haven't we? Yeah, it feels like we've barely scratched the surface of AI and cybersecurity, but I think we've hit on some really crucial points.
I think so too. We talked about the challenges and the potential solutions, but one thing that keeps coming up is the human element.
Right. AI can do so much, but it can't replace human judgment and vigilance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need skilled professionals who understand AI and its implications, and we need everyone to be more aware of the risks and how to protect themselves.
So let's talk about those professionals. We were discussing the need for a new generation of cybersecurity experts who are fluent in AI. What specific skills will those individuals need?
It's not just about traditional cybersecurity skills anymore, like network security and incident response.
Okay.
These professionals will also need a solid understanding of data science, machine learning, and even ethics.
So it's a blend of technical expertise and critical thinking.
Exactly. They need to be able to understand how AI systems work, how they can be used for good and bad, and how to design and implement AI-powered security solutions responsibly.
It sounds like we need a whole new breed of cybersecurity specialists, almost like AI whisperers.
I like that. They need to be able to speak the language of both technology and security.
But what about the people already working in cybersecurity? What can they do to keep up?
Upskilling is essential. There are tons of resources available for professional development and continuing education in AI and its applications in cybersecurity.
So it's about adapting and evolving to meet the demands of this new era. But where do they even start? It all seems a bit overwhelming.
A good starting point is familiarizing themselves with the basic concepts of AI and machine learning.
Right.
Understanding how these technologies work is the foundation for utilizing them effectively for cybersecurity.
Like learning a new language.
Exactly. Once you have the basics down, you can build from there.
Okay, so technical skills are obviously important, but are there other qualities that will be crucial for success in this field?
Absolutely. Things like critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability are more important than ever.
Because the landscape is constantly changing.
Exactly. Professionals need to be able to think on their feet and adapt their strategies as new threats emerge.
It's not just about following a set of rules anymore. It's about anticipating new threats and coming up with creative solutions.
That's right. And we can't forget about communication and collaboration.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Cybersecurity is a team sport. Effective communication is key for sharing information, coordinating responses, and building a strong security culture.
It's about working together to create a more resilient digital world.
Precisely. We need individuals who can explain complex technical concepts to both technical and non-technical audiences.
So they need to be translators.
In a way.
Yeah.
Bridging the gap between the world of AI and the world of cybersecurity.
Okay, so we've got the skills and the expertise, but there's another crucial aspect we need to address.
What's that?
The ethical implications of AI.
Yes, that's a big one.
As we rely more and more on AI for cybersecurity, we need to be very careful about the potential risks and unintended consequences.
AI is a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for evil.
Right, so we're talking about things like bias in AI algorithms, potential for misuse, the need for transparency and accountability.
Exactly. We need to have open and honest discussions about these ethical considerations and develop guidelines and regulations to mitigate potential harm.
It's about finding that balance between leveraging the power of AI and safeguarding our values and principles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this requires everyone to work together. Policymakers, industry leaders, researchers, citizens, we all need to be involved in shaping the future of AI.
It's about making sure that AI is used to enhance our security, not erode our freedoms.
Well said. And ultimately, it's about empowering individuals to be informed and engaged in this conversation.
It's about understanding the potential of AI, recognizing the risks, and demanding responsible development and deployment.
Because the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us. We're creating it together.
That's a great point. This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, but I think we've covered some really important ground today.
Definitely. We've highlighted the challenges, explored potential solutions, and emphasized the importance of human agency in this AI-powered future.
We've talked about the need for new cybersecurity professionals, the importance of upskilling the existing workforce, and those crucial ethical considerations.
And hopefully we've inspired our listeners to stay curious, informed, and engaged in this conversation.
So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
The future of cybersecurity is not set in stone. It's a future we're building together, and it's a future worth fighting for.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found this deep dive insightful and empowering. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure. Until next time.